Good afternoon, everyone. This morning we had a very good presentation by our keynote speaker who spoke about how our graduates are ready for the workplace. And I think the word he used there was fit. And we are using in our presentation, work ready plus. There is a global demand that when our graduates go out from the institution, apart from the knowledge they have, they also should have some skills that the industries or the companies would need. FSTE has got two programs in which we are actually executing that kind of demand that the industries need, and the members who have actually compiled this, Oliana is the person who looks after the industry liaison officer who basically talks to the industry people and with the academia here. Sujlesh Sharma is the person who was looking after the accreditation of those programs. The other one is myself, who looks after the P&Q office to see that the quality of those issues are there. And the leader, Angela Jochen, makes sure that this thing happens. So can you see that the talk that was being done this morning, it's the team that actually is making this happen. It's not just a one person or one discipline's effort. When I saw this title for this presentation, Nurturing Talent for Today and Tomorrow, when the Vice Chancellor's Learning and Teaching Forum topic came up, I decided by just looking at that theme, it just brought into my mind, whenever we think about nurturing talent, we always think of a child whom the parent basically gives them all the talent they need, because at the end of the journey, they expect the children to look after them. Now here, when industries are saying that you are not giving me the work ready plus students, those industry people were basically our students. So what went wrong there then? So there is a cycle here. We produce the graduates, get them into the industry, then come back to us, tell us what they need so we can prepare them for the future. So it's a cycle that goes on, and that is the reason why I thought we will share some of the things that FST is doing in the program. Basically, because of the time constraint, we will go through some of the things very quickly, because those of who are over here in the morning, most of the things that we are going to talk about in the introduction has been said, and you can see that it's a global effort. All around the world, institutions are trying to produce graduates that are, ready for the market. Work Ready Plus is not just the knowledge, where many of our students think that if I have a very good grade, if I got a very good GPA, I should basically will be the first one to be taken by the company. But after we had a talk with some of the company representatives, they had an issue saying that please don't give us your top students, the gold medalists. They have an attitude problem. They are not willing to learn. What was missing was most of the skills that actually helped them to work as a team. And this information that I'm presenting here was taken from Professor Scott, who visited us last year, and he was from Australia, and Dr. Gardner, who actually spoke today, is from USA. But can you see, the two countries, they are all talking on the same platform. Even USP wants the same thing. How FSTE is trying to get work-ready plus graduates. We get input from the industry and stakeholders, and we have most of as the requirement of the strategic plan that we have to get programs accredited, and we make sure that part of the accreditation there is a course that will help, that they need to see that students are basically being taught all the skills that are actually required in the workplace. That information that goes into the development of programs. Then we establish an academia industry partnership. This is where I am coming to the point that most of the people who are working in the industries are basically our own graduates. So when they come back to us, we have a formal way of explaining to them, this is what our program is offering, what you need. They explain it to us, then we try to modify the program. Then there are some of the assessments. I think one of the presentation that was done by Dr. Lowry, I think if we had to give an assignment, the traditional way of assessing a student would be in a project, write up a whole story of, but this is a very good technique where people don't want to read nowadays in this age of ICT. And that was one of the good, innovative way of assessing a student. Basically, this is what they are saying. When you are trying to develop that skill, make sure that the assessment that you are going to give to the student, they are fit for the purpose. And finally, once they have gone through the system, we believe from the industry that they are ready for the industry. Now, there is something missing here. The industry people are not here. We haven't sent the students to the industry yet. And this is where FST has developed this program in the 2 courses, which is the Bachelor of Net-Centric Computing, Bachelor of Software Engineering, and in the 2 Bachelor of Engineering programs. And again, because of time constraint, I'm not going to talk about the second half. We'll just only concentrate on the first 2. How we are going to achieve, or how does this program achieve that work-ready plus stuff is given highlighted in the yellow one. There are 2 courses. One is called the Foundations of Professional Practice, and that leads on or actually develops the student's skills in order to come and do the dark yellow one, which is the Industry Experience Project. The process, the way it is done. Students who actually come into the first year, they have to do UU 100, and one of the assignments in UU 100 is to develop an e-portfolio. Now you explain about what you are, what talents you have, what interest you have. In this FPP program, students who actually come into these 2 programs, that is the Bachelor of Net-Centric and Software, in the second year, they continue to develop their e-portfolio. And they keep on doing that right up to the 4th year. This is just before they are going to graduate. And I'll explain how it happens. Into the second year, they are actually trying to come up to explain what talent they have, their interest, where they would like to work. And in order to help them to achieve that, we have an industry, a mentor which comes from the industry. So students are assigned to a mentor from an ICT industry, and that mentor will basically guide the student how to write up the e-portfolio. Going up all the way up to the 3rd year, when they have basically finished up all the undergraduate courses, the 3rd year, then they will be required to get into this capstone course, which is an IEP course. Now, in the IEP course, which I will explain in the next slide, now if you look here, the role of the mentors, and here the mentors are basically our own graduates who have gone out into the field. They support the student to identify and address their individual learning and development needs. They encourage students to reflect on their professional situation, and also they help them to guide what they would like to do as in the career. Now, in the IEP, this slide here just shows the breakdown into what the FPP is doing, in which semester, and what they are supposed to be writing up. Now, before they go into the IEP course, this is the process. The students who are actually eligible to do the IEP under the requirement that they have completed all the undergraduate courses, then they have been earmarked that they can go into the IEP program or the course. Then the industries are invited to come and present the kind of real-life project in ICT that they have. After that, the students' e-portfolios are shown to them, and there is some discussion going on between the student and the industry. It's not that we tell the student, you go to this industry. The students also have a choice, whether they are interested to do those kind of projects or not. Once they have been identified, they don't work individually, they work in teams. The IEP course sits as a 19-week long course, and it starts in the orientation week. The ICT building here has got an incubation lab where the students basically do not go out into the industry to work, But what happens is that the project that is given by the industry is brought in here. And the incubation lab is basically designed in such a way that it looks more like an industry office. Students are supposed to be coming in at a particular time. They have to execute the project they have been given by the industry in consultation with the client, as well as the academic staff who is supervising them here. The kind of project that is given to them is based on a real life situation. And as you know, this kind of real life problems, when they come from the industry, the good thing about this is not that you just do half of it and you say that you fulfill some requirements. They look for outputs. They make sure it works. And this is where they have a target that if they are given a project to do, they work in as a team and they'll make sure that within the 19 weeks, you come to the end point, which means the output is given. The important part is, we have shown about what is expected from the student, what the industries want, but the question is, how are you going to assess them? And that is one of the important points for this course is, the learning outcome for this IEP course is something that we had listened in the morning. Apart from the knowledge you have, these are the skills that basically give them confidence to be in the industry. They should be able to take risks after that, make decisions for them. So, one of them is the communication. They will learn to talk to the different members of the group, to the academic staff, as well as the industry client. The important one, I think, overall, is the ethical behavior, which many companies come to us. They keep on complaining that when students basically go out, they basically look for that ethical behavior in them. And this is very highly judged and assessed in this course. Critical thinking, teamwork, creativity, again, the real life situation problems that are given to them, they're expected to do something new. At the end of this IEP course, students basically do a presentation. Last year, about 8 students did the presentation on 2 projects that were taken up in the 2 industries, and very successful. In semester 1, 2015, this was the first time it happened this year. 8 students basically qualified to do the IEP. 6 were in the BSc, 2 in BNC, 4 were taken up by Software Factory, and 4 Vodafone Fiji Limited. This semester, we have 7 students, 4 students in BSE and 3 in BNC, and we have now 3 companies on board, which have given them a project. Yesterday, we signed a partnership agreement with FSC, and they are now going to be part of this IEP course as well, where they get projects from FSC as well. I'll give a small video, looking that I have only 2 minutes. The students who basically went to Software Factory and Vodafone last semester, Mr. Andrew Kumar was our alumni. He is a graduate from here, and Semi Tukana also a graduate from here. Semi Tukana owns Software Factory, and Andrew Kumar works for Vodafone.
Hi, I am the Chief Technology Officer for Vodafone here in Fiji, and we have been working very closely with the University of the South Pacific in terms of getting the students on board and covering various areas. The main goal being to nurture today's talent for tomorrow. Now, our main focus has been that. Most of the time what we have seen is the students are prepared academically, but there's some soft skills which they don't really learn from the books at the university level. Some of the skills that we can talk about is, one of them is leadership, teamwork, collaboration, working with others, and some other key aspects of working at industry level is time management and budget management. Now, when Vodafone was engaged or got engaged with USP in terms of exploring the opportunities where Vodafone could add value, both to USP and towards the students, as well as enhancing the quality of graduates that come out of USP. So some of the qualities or some of the aspects we looked at was giving the exposure to the students, um, the intellect, the quality of intellect the students that have, which they possess, the capability of the students, the competency development side of things, most importantly the skills development, because most of the students we saw that they had the right skills, but to apply the knowledge in the right place where it's needed, it was a challenge. Unless and until they were faced with real life situations, it was very difficult for students to visualize and to conceptualize any specific framework which they have learned and applying it to their normal day-to-day work or to any other industry projects or any other work-related matter for that purpose. In deciding or in embarking on this journey with USP, the IAP initiative was a great initiative taken up by USP and the industry, and what it has done is it has opened up a whole new world of opportunities and avenues, not only for the students but for USP and for the industry as well. And the initial first few months was really an eye-opener in terms of the quality of graduates produced by USP. While they were very good academically, there was a huge step in terms of the quality that we could add value to the students, the quality of the students produced by USP. So, say for example, what we did was on a very basic step, a very baby step which we took was gave them a real world situation problem scenario, which was part of the industry, this part of Vodafone, and the students really
It required another 3-4 minutes, but just because I'm lacking time. The same comment came from Semi Tukana. What he basically said was that the company basically saved a lot of time in training the students. Once they finish from USP, when they come to work, they basically train them for 6 months. But this program here basically do the training while they are still at university. So this was a good advantage. While students are still at USP while completing the project, they basically tend to get the experience what the industry wants. Finally, I think just to round it off, many students must be thinking that we are coming to a university and in order to get a degree, the ultimate goal is to get a job. Now, they would always want to go to a place where after they finish off, I think in the morning there was an explanation about one university where students were not able to complete because they were able to get into entrepreneurship and start a business. That was the most successful one, I would say, because that's what the student wants. But when they come to a university and we are all using the old techniques of assessment, then this reminded me one of the sayings that I attended to one of these presentations by Professor Arjun Walls, the UNESCO Chair for Social Learning. He said, the student basically said, we are students of today, attending the schools of yesterday, being taught by the teachers of the past with methods of the Middle Ages to solve the problems of the future. And if we are not able to change and get the students ready, then we are already lacking somewhere behind. So what the globe or the world wants, I think FST has taken a step forward, and we are hoping that in years to come, this will be the way forward for all institutions and all the programs in the university. Thank you.